Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Elliot Forbes and this is episode 64 of Men's Grooming Weekly. Today we're going back to the classical 3 segments of Men's Grooming Weekly. We're going to be looking at some products. Today it's the V76 range by Vaughan. This week's hair icon is Keanu Reeves. We're going to be looking at his top 5 haircuts. And for any of you adventurous people out there that want to cut their hair at home, I'm going to be talking you through some key tips if you want to do that yourself. So stay tuned for that coming up today. I'm actually recording this video a little bit in advance of when it's going to be going out. And the way that the channel's been growing, I think by the time this goes out, I probably will have hit, fingers crossed, 250,000 subscribers. So if that is the case and I have hit 250,000, I'm blown away. But I also just wanted to say thank you for all of you that are coming on this journey already with me. It really is blowing my mind how this is all growing and the support that you guys are all showing me. So I just want to say thank you because I'm truly thankful for the way that it's grown, and hopefully you are enjoying these videos. If you are enjoying them and there's any others you want to see, or if there's any other variations or change in the videos that you want to see, drop them down in the comments down below right now. And before we get into the video, give it a little thumbs up. That helps it get pushed out there a little bit more as well. Okay, so as the world is still not back to normal at the moment, I've had actually a lot of Australian guys commenting on the posts and sending me DMs and asking tips for how to cut their hair. They're in a lockdown at the moment, so I'd probably start by cutting the back and sides first. So what you want to do is wet down the top. We're going to separate the top from the sides. We're going to comb from the back and then come all the way into this recession area. That's then going to comb down this way, and then we're going to comb the top hair over into the center so that they're separated. Do that on both sides, and then you want to dry all of these sides off. It's way easier to cut the sides if they're dry, especially if you want to be taking it down with the clippers. Now, with the clippers, you want to make sure you're using a decent set, something that actually has a lever on the side, so you can go from 0 to 0.5. That gives you much more of a chance of getting a good gradient on it, and generally, if they've got a lever, they're a much higher quality clipper. Say if you wanted to do a 2 on the back and sides, what I would recommend first is actually putting either a 3 or a 4 on, just so you can get rid of a load of the bulk first, especially if it's grown out a bit. You want to get rid of the bulk before really then going into the actual length that you want to do. Now we can see when we're looking at the clippers, this has this flat edge through here. Now when that's attached, you can see that obviously the clipper comes back at really quite an angle through here. So when we're placing this onto the head, that wants to sit completely flat and then float up, maintaining that straight edge going all the way up into the air. We don't want to go in and you don't want to flick out. You want to keep going up, 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 up and floating off the head, because actually it still cuts quite a bit after you think where it's going to. Something to avoid is to go there and then just stop, because then you end up with this load of weight right at the corner. So take it and just keep floating up off the head. So you want to go up, 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 up for sort of 3 sections. And then where the head changes, and obviously it goes round, you then want to change the angle of the clippers and you want to come off an angle this way. If we change the angle and go around, that means we can retain a lot more of the shape of the crown. If I was to just keep going round, 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 I'm going to get rid of all of that weight and we're going to go super high through the crown and take that off super short, and it's going to look ridiculous. So you need to change the angle of the clippers and float off the head, still floating up, going straight off it, but thinking of it as though it drops down through the back. If you go round into the head, then that means you're going to have to go super short with the length on that you have on the top as well. We want to think of building up that corner there, because that's the shape you generally want on a man's haircut. So if you've done 2 on the back and sides, you're then going to want to find a 1 guard, and then you turn it to a 1.5. We're then going to want to go round the edges and then just gently taper that out, just so that it cinches in over that ear and then going down into that neck area. In through the back area, what you can do is go to the 1.5, then the 1, then the 0.5, and then the 0 if you're feeling like you're up to it, or if you're brave enough, or the person that's doing it is brave enough. So I'd start at the higher length and gradually work that down until it blends out into the neckline. If you're super adventurous and say you want to go all the way down to say 0, still do the 2, get rid of all of the bulk and make sure you've got that nice flat surface, none of the build up of weight in through the top. Then we're going to put the 0 line in. That's then going to drop down. I would start just above the ear and drop down towards the back area. At the back, you'll find that there's this little nodule at the back you've got there. Try and match that and drop down into that area, because that's going to help retain length through the crown as well. That would be the 0 line. I'd put the 1 on, then go a finger's depth above that. You're then going to have a line above, and then you're going to have this still the 0 line at the bottom. What you then want to do is take the 1 guard off, turn the lever to the 0.5, and then basically rub out that bottom line. It might take a few going over. Generally on the actual clippers themselves, there'll be a little curvature to it. You almost want to use that to your advantage and have that natural C, like that natural rocking motion to it. We're then going to be still left with that upper line where we use the 1. So then put the 1 guard on, turn it to the 1.5, and then we're going to work up there and try and blend that into the 2 which we've got. and then keep going back over those steps until you really refine it. When I'm trying to do the back, I'll have the mirror in front of me, and then I'll have the handheld mirror behind me as well, so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm coming, the hand goes in round this way, I'll then turn round so I'm looking in the handheld mirror and doing it that way. Again, the same process. You can probably leave a bit larger gap at the back area because the hair is a lot denser there, but I would always try and keep it as low as possible and then take it a little bit higher if you need to. The last thing you want to do is go too high, ruin the whole haircut, and then you've just got to, and then you're really scuppered. So I'd always be erring on the side of caution. Cutting the top, you want to make sure that the hair is wet. I'd start at the front. Obviously, you want to make sure you've got a comb, and you need a pair of scissors that are sharp. Normally, a kitchen pair of scissors won't be sharp enough. They'll just fold the hair. So you want to make sure you get a nice pair of scissors. On the comb that you're using, make sure you're using the narrow teeth as opposed to the wide teeth. The narrow teeth are going to mean that you're going to be able to get more tension, and you're going to be able to cut the hair better. You want to go in right at the base of the scalp, lift up, and then the fingers can come underneath, and then basically it's up to you to decide how much needs to come off, and cut the length like this. You almost want to cut little triangles into the hair. If you come and cut straight across, the hair's going to look super blocky, really heavy, and it's going to have no real texture to it. And then when it lays down, it's just going to almost look like it has lots of lines on it. Cutting it like this is going to allow a little bit more movement, a little bit more texture, and it doesn't then have to be so perfect. Once you've then cut that initial bit, we're then going to sweep that a little bit further back. So I'm coming to here, then we're going to sweep back into sort of this area. What you'll then see is you'll see the length that you've cut at the front will just be there, and then you want to match that length up just behind it. So we're keeping that consistent shape going all the way back. What you'll then find is there's a load of disconnection between the top length and the side length. You can have all of this sort of overhanging through here. Comb that down, come into the side, and anything that then overhangs in through there, again, just snip that off. Not cutting straight, we want to cut those little triangles into it. It's not a great option, but if that's all you've got, then you might as well give it a go, especially if you don't know how long you're going to be in a lockdown for. And if you do try it, I'd love to see some images. So send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to see how the haircut turns out. Okay, now into this week's hair icon is Keanu Reeves. In at 5, a real youthful look. Almost looks a little grungy as though he hasn't washed it for a few days, but that gives it a little bit more texture, a little bit more movement. I love how the length at the front is just meeting the jawline there. It allows that softness just to come across the face, and the length of the back just sits on the collar, really nice. In at 4, really youthful again. A lot longer through the top than it is at the sides. This would be really versatile. You could easily push this all straight back, but then also goes forward really well as well. Although it is shorter through the sides, they haven't gone clean around the ears. It allows that shape to come out and not really mushroom out too much, and still leave some nice fullness there at the back. In at 3, really elegantly pushes back, a slight off-center part, and you can see how this has got that lifting through the front. That's because he's pushed it against the way it wants to sit. The growth pattern goes that way, but he's pushed it up and over, and that gives it that natural lift without having to really blow dry any lift into it. In at 2, I love this real short look on him, and also how good is this shot? I think it's a really nice, well-lit image as well, isn't it? The shortness looks great on him. Haven't faded it down to the sides. It's almost the one length the whole way over, and a little bit grown out, so it allows a little bit of texture in there as well. I think the combination of like the rough clipper look and the cleanliness of the shave, I think those work really well together. And in at number 1, I think this looks epic. When this was in GQ, I just thought it really stood out to me. He's always been really slim, but I think this just pads out that area behind it really well. Very elegantly, they've put the parting off center and then worked more into the middle, just so that it allows that cowslick to push across and sit flat through there. Like with number 3, if they'd had just done a center parting, then obviously that would have had that lift through there. They've just pushed it to the side. It gets that real lank, soft texture. And yeah, I think it looks great on him. Okay, and on to the final part of the show. And this week we are looking at products by V76 by Vaughan. Now these guys actually sent me through a load of the products. They sent me through almost all of the range. They sent me like some shampoos and conditioners, some hair tonics, but I decided to pick out 3 of the products which I've really enjoyed, and products which have worked really quite nicely on my hair actually. And the first one actually we're going to start with the styling cream. Now, this is a medium hold, and it says it's high memory styling cream, moisturizes, adds shine, and creates easy separation with steady hold. Now I've actually liked this as a pre-styler, so I've put this in the hair whilst the hair is damp and then blow dried it into it, so it gives it a bit of shape, gives it a bit more body, and molds it into that place, then be able to put a finishing product into it. It's on the soft side, on the light side, gives the hair a real soft finish once you've dried it into the hair as well. If you wanted to, you could then probably put a little bit more into the hair whilst it's dry and then finish it with that, if you wanted a bit more of a natural look to the hair and still be able to really run your hands through the hair without it really clogging up too much. The next product which I used was the texture clay. And this is a medium hold. It's supposed to be high performance, ultimate for creating undone textures and tons of separation with a matte finish. And yeah, it does have a real matte finish actually. Put it into the hair and you can get some real pieciness and real texture in at the very start. I'd say very quickly it goes very matte looking and almost looks like there's not crazy amounts of product in the hair. So if you are wanting a really quite a natural look, then it does a very good job at that. I actually found it to have really quite a nice hold actually. I definitely found that my hair wasn't falling flat. It almost felt quite lightweight in terms of it didn't drag the hair down at all. It felt like it just kept that It kept the volume in there all through the day. And next morning, even after sleeping on it, it never felt like it fell flat at all. So actually, it was really quite nice if you're looking for something very on the matte side. And my favorite out of the three actually is probably the molding paste. When I was reading this the first day, it says, help sculpt strands with a satin finish. And yeah, that was the perfect way of describing the finish that it gives. It's a very creamy texture when you're rubbing it through the hands. Very easy to work through the hair. And yeah, it gives like a very satin finish. It looks very soft, gives it a real natural sheen to the hair. And this has been in all day. It's at the end of the day now. It's kept all the volume in there. I've been really happy with how it's looked. If you run your hands through your hair quite a lot during the day, I think it probably would lose its hold during the day. But if you're like me and you just tend to leave it alone, then actually it works really nicely. All three of these products smell really nice. They describe it as a blue cedar, a magnetic woody scent that is soothing and elegant with leathery accents. Coconut milk, nutmeg, peach, blue cider tree, moss, leather accord. And yeah, you definitely get the coconut milk. You definitely get the moss, definitely get like a leathery scent to it as well. It's not overpowering, it's nothing offensive. I think most people would quite enjoy the scent, but it's not over the top at all. These tubs are around the $20 mark, so I guess 15 quid or so for 48 grams. I'm looking forward to trying out a bit more of the shampoo and conditioner once I've ran out of all the other stuff I've been using. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a little thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, go on, click that subscribe button. What you've done, you've got to the end of the video and you've enjoyed it. Go on, click that right now. If you've got any comments, if you've got any questions, drop them down below and I'll get back to you. Have a brilliant rest of your day. Much love, Elliot.